These things are always causing problems. They mount them right down as low as they can next to the tow ball. They get broken, they get knocked off, they get full of water. What can we do? You don't want them on one of these silly brackets near the ground and next to the tow bar where they're going to get damaged as you reverse onto the trailer. I like to make my bracket well up and out of the way to keep the electrics away from danger. And another idea is to use one of these trailing sockets and wire it into the harness and leave it permanently in the boot of the car. When you want to use your trailer, you just drop it outside there and close the door, and it's there. The rest of the time it's protected from the weather. I've done that a few times and it's always worked fine. And when I fasten these awful things on, fasten them on with stainless steel screws, then in 10 or 20 years time we'll be able to service them without smashing the socket. And these things really upset me. They're a constant cause of problems. Now I probably have 4 or 5 trailers and implements with these sockets on, and 2 or 3 vehicles, and they are always causing problems. Now here we are, brand spanking new. EPNS, every piece nice and shiny. But it won't be for long. It'll soon be like this one. Well, hopefully not exactly like this one. Now one of the major problems with these things is they use steel screws in them. So all it takes is for one wire to come adrift or break like that one, and then you're stuck because you cannot get those horrible little rusty screws out no matter how good a screwdriver you've got. However, I have an answer, something that I've been meaning to do for an awful long time. Now this old derelict is the remains of a horse box, which is probably 60 years old, and I noticed the other day that the lights have brass screws. Let's just have a see. There. Probably never been turned from the day it was made, and the screws come straight out. Fantastic. Now I thought I'd hit pay dirt a while ago because I bought this trailer socket. Don't really like the metal ones, prefer the plastic ones, but I bought this one because it seems to have brass screws in, but actually they aren't. They are brassed, so they will rust just as quickly as the other ones. And if you want proof, here we are. We have one of my home manufactured ones and one of the apparently brass ones out of the sterling socket. There we are. Now first of all, and this isn't really what the video is about, I bought one of these bootlace terminal kits. Actually, my mother-in-law bought it for my birthday. Rather have that than handkerchiefs. And they do seem like a really good idea because they interrupt that flexing part between the insulation and the conductor, which is where the wire breaks, and they hold all those individual fine wires, the multi-strands, they hold them all together. Now this video is about today's acquisition. It's just come in the post, and at least I hope that's what it is. Let's have a see. A bit like the Russian dolls. There we are. Oh, there's one's escaped. The screws in these plugs are M3.5 threaded terminal screws, and they're really hard to get hold of. Everybody stocks M3 screws, and everybody stocks M2 screws and M4 screws, but nobody seems to stock M3.5. So I've got a box of brass ones, 20 quid including postage for 200. Dear little screws at 10p each, but if they add 70 pence to the price of a plug or socket and it lasts an awful lot longer and is serviceable, then I'm happy. Now these little beggars are the screws that came out of the thing. They appear to be 5 millimeters long, which is considerably shorter than the ones I've bought. They also have a smaller head, and I do need a small head to get into the small holes in the socket, which is rather annoying. So I'm going to just stick them in the lathe and take the edges off them, all 200 of them, then I'll have a box full. And the ones that come are the even more annoying type that are supposed to fit either a slotted or a cross-point screw. They actually fit neither. Bloody useless things, they ought to be illegal. So that's it, my screws have the heads turned down to size, and now I'm going to crop them to the appropriate length with a pair of these cheap crimping pliers, which are absolutely useless for crimping, but their only saving grace is that they have threaded holes through which you can put the screws and then crop them down to size. Then when you unscrew the screw, it restores the thread at the end. Now the cheaper ones don't have a 3.5 slot, which is a great shame, because that is the most useful size to electricians in this country anyway, because the plate screws are 3.5mm, and the even cheaper ones don't have threaded holes, which makes them completely useless. So throw those ones away if you've got any. So there we are, resized and ready to go. Now this might seem like an awful lot of faff to get some small 3.5mm brass terminal screws, but I have not been able to buy any. And if anybody knows where I can get them from, please let me know. So there we are. Bootlace ferrules, brass screws. That should last until it gets dragged down the road and battered to pieces, but at least I will be able to undo the screws and use the wiring again. And replace these horrible rusty screws in the lights with stainless steel ones. I've got dozens of these years ago at the caravan window frames. We used to strip them down. Anyway, these little jobs cost pennies, but they do take time. But in the long run, if you're going to keep your trailers, they certainly save you a lot of time. Well, this is something of an experiment. I've been rewiring this trailer and I've tried to do a better than average job of it. Now, trailer lights are a constant cause of problems because they have steel components inside. These springs are steel, and anybody who has a trailer knows your trailer lights aren't working, so you take the lens off and you waggle the bulbs about until they work, and the same next time you use the trailer. And you get a reaction between the solder on the end of the bulbs and the terminals. And once I rewired a trailer for somebody, and 12 months later it wasn't working, and we found that the steel parts had completely rusted away. So I'm going to, a little experiment, that bulb's no good anyway, little experiment, I'm going to brush wax oil on the steel parts and see how it works. It will either protect the steel parts, or it will protect the steel parts and interfere with the electrical connections. Well, I was just about to put my wax oil on when I realised that some plastic components don't like wax oil, so I'm just using ordinary grease instead. Just going to brush it on these bits. Inside the bulb holders. Try and get a good coat on anything that will go rusty. there. Well, the good news is that even with all that grease around, the bulbs seem to work, so here's hoping for the future. Well, it's 11 months later, and I'm glad to report that that little trailer hasn't had any lighting problems since, and there is no corrosion inside the light clusters, so perhaps it's about time to rewire this one. And one final little tip: if you're having trouble with your trailer lights and you happen to have LED lights, try conventional lights like these instead, because some modern vehicle electronic towing modules do not seem to like the LEDs. The L200s don't, and the D-Maxes don't seem to either. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this helpful or interesting. I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and press that old like button. Thank you.